Josh's Moonshiners suffered a horrible back injury. But how did it happen? When I was a kid, I used to think motorcycles were the coolest things in the world. Then I somehow saw footage of a crash, and my zest for riding the two-wheeled death machines began to fade. So when I first heard that Josh Owens from the popular reality series Moonshiners injured his back, I immediately started putting two and two together. If you've ever checked out the man's social media accounts, then it's apparent that the dude is a bit of a gearhead with an affinity for vintage motorcycles. He doesn't love just showing them off in expos either. He enjoys riding them as well. Sadly, when he was on a Florida racetrack on March 16, 2018, one of the tires on a vintage bike he was riding blew up. That incident forced his bike to smash into a wall and resulted in several significant injuries for the reality star. He was admitted into Halifax Medical Center in Daytona after the incident with his 1919 Harley-Davidson during a practice run for an exhibition race that he was set to participate in the following day. His diagnosis was a grim one. Josh tore his rotator cuff, broke his left collarbone shoulder blade, and nearly all of his ribs. Only one was spared. Additionally, he punctured a lung, and the skin on one of his fingers was stripped down to the bone. As if things weren't bad enough for the Moonshiner, the TV personality says that the Halifax Medical Center discharged him before all of his injuries were appropriately dealt with because he wasn't on a health insurance plan at the time. Hospital administrators rejected Josh's claim, however, and say that no patient at the hospital was ever denied care or given lesser treatment due to an inability to pay. Josh says that his left collarbone is still sticking out, and that his left side was pretty well paralyzed after the accident. He was also dealing with severe pain, but was thankful for all of the work that the hospital and the staff was doing to give him care. After 5 days of care, the reality TV star said that a hospital worker sat beside him to inquire about his insurance. He informed them he wasn't insured and told the hospital to send him a bill and that he would pay it. They discharged him a day later, despite the fact that blisters in his throat made it difficult for the man to swallow his own spit. Josh's medical bills were extensive, but he was in high spirits and still managed to battle back. He still appears on the latest season of Moonshiners. "There's no way for this man not to go to work without being injured," he said. Apparently, he's selling custom merchandise online in an attempt to help pay for his medical bills, like engraved mini stills and apparel. Although his injuries were gnarly and caused several other problems for him down the road, like back problems and other mobility issues, Josh seems to be doing much better now. His Instagram page shows him enjoying the great outdoors with friends and family, hitting the racetracks yet again, doing some smithy work, and of course, moonshining. He's definitely a dude that is hard to keep down. A few years ago, Josh lost his finger while working, and he still continued doing what he loves and hasn't slowed his roll one bit. Fans are missing the legendary Jim Tom on Moonshiners. Here's exactly how the Moonshiners avoid getting arrested. Here's why Chico is missing from the latest season of Moonshiners. Josh's Moonshiners suffered a horrible back injury. But how did it happen? Josh Owens, a familiar face from the hit reality TV series Moonshiners, is known for his tough, resilient persona. As one of the stars of the show that follows the illegal moonshine trade in the Appalachian Mountains, Josh has been depicted as a hard-working, risk-taking, and seemingly invincible figure. However, behind his robust appearance and his daring moonshining escapades, Josh's life took an unexpected turn when he suffered a terrible back injury. This moment rocked not only his personal world, but also sent shockwaves through the Moonshiners fan base. But how did it happen? In this article, we will delve into the events that led to Josh's back injury, uncover the impact it had on his life, and reflect on how this moment has shaped his journey, both on and off the screen. Josh Owens. A background of grit and determination. Before we jump into the details of the injury, it's important to understand the kind of man Josh Owens is. Born and raised in the Appalachian region, Josh grew up in a family steeped in the traditions of moonshining. His grandfather was a legendary moonshiner, a fact that helped to create a bond between Josh and the craft. However, Josh's role on the Moonshiners series has evolved over the years, from being a rebellious newcomer to becoming one of the most well-known figures associated with the moonshine trade. From the very first season, Josh was cast as a fearless moonshiner, someone who was willing to go to extreme lengths to keep. Whether it was outrunning law enforcement or finding new ways to keep the moonshine running in the face of adversity, Josh's journey on Moonshiners was filled with harrowing escapes and heart-pounding action. However, despite the heavy focus on high-stakes action and moonshining-related drama, Josh's character was also defined by his sense of loyalty, his unyielding dedication to his friends and family, and his straightforward, no-nonsense approach to life. These traits made him a fan favorite, and his charm on the show earned him a dedicated following. Yet, even with all the physical and mental toughness displayed on TV, Josh's life would soon take an unexpected turn. The injury. A life-altering event. The shocking event occurred when Josh, while on a routine moonshining operation in the rugged Appalachian Hills, found himself in an accident that would leave him severely injured. It wasn't the usual close calls with law enforcement, nor was it a moment of running from a dangerous situation. It was, rather, a freak accident that left Josh in agonizing pain and with a devastating back injury. The incident took place while Josh was working with his team on a moonshine run, during which they were transporting barrels of the highly sought-after spirit to a secret location. The rugged terrain of the Appalachian Mountains is treacherous and difficult to navigate, even for experienced moonshiners like Josh. But on this particular day, things went terribly wrong. Josh, along with his crew, was loading a heavy piece of equipment into a transport vehicle when something shifted beneath him. As Josh bent over to lift a piece of equipment, the strain on his lower back was enough to cause a sudden, sharp pain. At first, he thought it was nothing more than a minor tweak, a common issue for anyone involved in heavy lifting or physically demanding work. But as the pain grew excruciating, Josh quickly realized this was far worse than anything he had experienced before. Within moments, Josh was unable to move without intense discomfort. His back was locked in place, and he could barely stand, let alone carry out the task at hand. His crew immediately noticed something was wrong, and they rushed to get him medical help. What followed was a series of doctor's visits, medical tests, and painful treatments as Josh's back injury was diagnosed as severe enough to put him out of commission for an extended period of time. The road to recovery. Struggling with the pain for someone like Josh Owens, who was used to living life on his terms, the idea of being laid up due to injury was a hard pill to swallow. For a man who had grown accustomed to working tirelessly, often in dangerous conditions, having to step back and focus on recovery was nothing short of a personal crisis. The back injury was severe, affecting not only his ability to work as a moonshiner, but also interfering with his day-to-day life. Simple tasks like getting out of bed or walking across the room became monumental challenges. Doctors recommended physical therapy, rest, and in some cases, surgical intervention. While Josh was no stranger to physical pain, he had endured a rough past, including a motorcycle accident. This was a different kind of challenge, one that tested his patience and perseverance in ways he had never imagined. During his recovery, Josh shared his struggles with his fans through social media. He posted about the difficulties he was facing, from the overwhelming pain to the emotional toll of being temporarily unable to live the life he loved. Fans rallied behind him, offering words of encouragement and support. As much as Josh tried to maintain a positive outlook, there were days when the pain and frustration overwhelmed him. He found himself faced with the harsh reality that even the toughest individuals have their limits. What led to the injury? An analysis of the incident pile, the injury itself came as a shock. It wasn't entirely unpredictable. The work of a moonshiner is fraught with risks, both from the dangers of illegal moonshine production and the physical toll it takes on the body. Working in remote, mountainous regions, carrying heavy equipment, and performing physically demanding tasks is the norm for Josh and his crew. The accident could have happened at any time, as the nature of the work involves constant lifting, carrying, bending, and maneuvering heavy loads in precarious positions. The accident can be viewed as the result of multiple factors. First, there's the physical strain that comes with working in an environment that demands peak physical performance. Josh was pushing himself beyond his limits, as he always did, when his body finally gave way. Second, the terrain of the Appalachian Mountains is notoriously unstable, with uneven ground, sharp inclines, and unpredictable weather conditions. Any misstep could lead to injury, and Josh's situation was no exception. The combination of physical exertion and challenging terrain